is controlling the recording to start the recording?
That's Heather.
It started now.
Perfect. I had a little voice telling me that there's a recording in progress, so all good. Right, in that case, welcome to this meeting of Harpenden Town Council's Planning Committee, taking place via Zoom on Tuesday, the 8th of June. Does not seem like it should be the 8th of June already. Item 1 is apologies for absence. I'm aware that we have apologies from Councillor Farmer, who is having significant works done to her house and is therefore unable to join us. Do we have any other apologies?
No, Chair, we have no other apologies.
But in that case, can I just ask committee if we're minded to accept Councillor Farmer's apologies? All in favour?
Okay, thank you.
They agrees.
Perfect. Do we have any declarations of interest? Bert?
Yeah, the dual-hatted councillor, whereby we've got on page 36, 5/2021 and 1299, and page 42, 5/2021, 1298. They're both for St Albans District Council, Harpenden Hall in both cases, so I'll declare a non-pecuniary interest as a councillor of SADC, and I will refrain from the debate. I'll refrain from voting.
Thanks, Bert. Anyone else have a declaration of interest? Harry?
Thank you, Chair. I know we just note the technical applications, but I should add that if any of the councillors wanted to discuss application 5, I won't be joining in with that because it's about St George's School and I was a student there, and by that way I know the applicant.
Okay. Do any other councillors have any declarations of interest?
Councillor,
I have to declare a personal interest in Peach Pubs, as I know the owners of Peach Pubs, who are White Horse. And in terms as a district councillor, do I have to declare an interest in any of the particular cases?
So it's up to individual councillors as to whether they feel they have an interest, but Councillor Paul has declared a non-pecuniary interest in the 2 applications for the district council.
Yeah.
May wish to do the same.
Yeah, I would, if needs be. Is that okay?
Yes, I think that's absolutely fine.
Okay.
Heather or Mim, does that cause us any problems?
no, not at all. Can I just clarify? You are declaring interest in the White Horse. Can you just let me know what sort of a declaration you're making regarding that? Is it
it's a non-pecuniary interest in the White Horse, in that I know the individuals who own Peach Pubs, who run the White Horse.
Okay, thank you.
I just asked, we appear to have been joined by Councillor Scriven. Has there been a membership change that I've missed?
No, Lisa is just wanting to listen in on a couple of particular applications, and so she may actually leave us at some point. So she's just literally sitting to listen in.
That's fine. I just thought I should check before I can. Perfect. In that case, I will move on to item 3, which is the minutes of the meeting of the Planning Committee held on the 18th of May. Are we happy to accept those as a true record? If I can get a show of hands.
Thank you.
Perfect. Have we had any public questions in accordance with Standing Orders 22 and 23?
No, Chair, none received.
Perfect. Have we received any letters of objection?
None received into Harpenden Town Council.
Okay, perfect. In that case, I will move to the meat of the agenda, which is the applications received in the weeks ending the 14th, 21st, and 28th of May, which I believe starts on about page 20 something, but I will find it now.
So you wanted the application for
Yes,
Redcliffs, which is,
yes, thank you.
which is
Thank you.
on page 32 of your agenda.
I knew I'd forget one of the applications. Oh, I didn't think it would be the first one.
Okay.
Yes, we will start on page 32 as we've got members of the public present for that for one of the items on page 32. So we'll start with 5/2021 1235 at Redcliffe 21 Salisbury Avenue. Mim, your officer observations, please.
Okay, so we have some pictures numbered 26 to 36
Yep.
on the street scene.
Did you want to share your comments first before we have the speakers, or would you like to have the speakers first?
I think it would be nice to get officer observations and then speakers
Okay,
if possible.
Fine.
Okay.
That's all right.
Okay, so my observations were the proposal submitted is the fourth application following 3 refusals and shows reductions in the number of proposed dwellings for the site with a decrease from 4 plots to 3. The suggestion put forward in this application is again for the change of use from C2 care home to C3 residential and to incorporate 3 flats into the existing locally listed building, 21 Salisbury Avenue, which will house 2 2-bedroom properties and 1 1-bedroom property, and to remove single and 2-storey extensions and outbuildings at the rear of the building. A new villa is proposed to the side of number 21 Salisbury Avenue, which will reinstate the former plot of number 23 with the proposed design showing some of the same design features as those of its neighbour, number 21, such as the front-facing gables. This new property will house 2 flats, which will feature 1 2-bedroom property and 1 3-bedroom property, and is shown to have a smaller footprint with lower eaves and ridge height than number 21, and therefore will remain subservient in its appearance. Balconies are shown to have been incorporated on both the Grade 2 listed building and also on the proposed new building number 23, which are not in keeping with the listing of the building and also the conservation area. At the rear of the site, the proposal is for a Muse-style building, which is smaller in bulk, height and massing than previously suggested. More distance appears to have been allowed for the 27-metre rear-to-rear distance between Rosebery Avenue and the new building. The proposed Muse building is a 2-storey building, but is shown to have a reduced roof line with a shallow pitch. The front elevation of the building has been divided into 10 bays with glass canopies over the front doors. This proposed Muse building is smaller and lower in height than previously proposed and may have less of an impact on neighbouring properties in terms of overlooking. However, there are concerns that this building, although positioned at the rear of the site, is out of keeping with the existing locally listed property, the proposed new dwelling number 23, and with the conservation area in general in terms of design and visual impact. The existing site access appears to be retained with parking to the southernmost part of the site and is divided into 3 small areas by landscaping. Parking provision is shown as 11 spaces, which include 1 disabled and 2 visitor spaces. However, for the total 20 bedrooms that these flats will accommodate, this appears to fail to meet the recommended requirements. One of these suggested parking spaces is to be sited outside the proposed new property at the front of the site. There is shown to be a central access, which is to be predominantly for pedestrians with a cycle area towards the middle of the site. 4 trees are shown to be removed. However, further trees are plotted on the separation and privacy plan. Permeable paving is shown to be installed for the parking area. There are letters of objection on the St Albans District Council website, all echoing the same sentiment regarding design and out of keeping with the conservation area. My observation is to recommend refusal with regards to the detrimental impact of the proposed Muse building, which is shown to be sited at the rear of number 21, would have on the locally listed building, the Harpenden Conservation Area and the surrounding street scene in terms of design and visual impact. It fails to complement or enhance the existing locally listed building, street scene or character of the area. The proposed balcony is integrated into the Grade 2 listed building and the proposed new building number 23 at the front of the site are out of keeping with the buildings and the character of the Harpenden Conservation Area and could cause a loss of amenity and privacy to existing and potential occupiers of the neighbouring properties and the proposed new properties. Concerns are also expressed with regard to the lack of sufficient parking provision provided against the accommodation provided within the application. And then I've given the relevant policies.
Thank you, Mim. So I'll now invite speakers. To those who are speaking, if we can have a maximum of 3 minutes from public speakers, that would be greatly appreciated. I'll ask the person speaking in favour of the application to speak first, and then I'll ask the person speaking against. I can't remember which of you is which, so if the person speaking in favour could open.
That would be Mr. Yeah, that would be Mr. Brockbank.
Mr. Brockbank, if you could take the metaphorical floor, as it were.
Yes, thanks very much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, good evening, and thank you for allowing the opportunity to speak in favour of our proposals for number 21 Salisbury Avenue. I think it's just worth reiterating, picking up on some of the points that have been made just a moment ago. You'll be aware of the planning history associated with the site, which you've outlined at the start, but it's worth reiterating that the most recent appeal decision where the inspector considered the proposals for 9 retirement flats, he considered in principle that they were acceptable. They had a neutral effect on the locally listed building, which is a non-designated heritage asset, not listed itself. And considered that it did not affect the amenity of adjoining residents, but on balance failed to preserve the character of the conservation area. I won't repeat what we're proposing, as you've already been through that, but since the most recent appeal decision, we have worked collaboratively with St Albans Council through several pre-application meetings to sort of revise the scheme and get to a point where they feel that they can support the application going forward, and sort of looking at each of those sort of elements, really, I'll just go through those. In terms of number 21 itself, we're obviously retaining that and converting it, demolishing the existing side and rear extensions on site, and then restoring the building and enhancing it as a consequence. And this element of the scheme, as I said, has always been accepted in principle and supported by the council and by planning inspectors when considering the individual elements. The principle of the second building fronting Salisbury Avenue, we've looked carefully at this at the scale and bulk, and obviously looking to do something that mimics what would have been a number 23 on site at some point in the past. But what we've tried to do there is follow the building and design cues from number 21. Again, we've just presented those to St Albans officers and they found those proposals acceptable. The Muse properties at the back were something that was suggested by planning officers when we discussed it with them. And we've designed that specifically so it sits lower than the existing buildings on site to the rear of number 21. So we'll actually be lower than those and the bulk will come down considerably. The roof is very shallow behind a parapet, and with the use of good quality materials will provide an enhancement to the conservation area. Again, planning officers and the conservation officer at St Albans have looked at these and found them acceptable at the pre-application stage, and that's very much reflected in our planning statement, design and access statement, and the heritage statement submitted. And the other thing that we've done, which I think is important, is we've now got one vehicle access into the site, which is to the southern portion of the site, which will allow access to the parking. The central part has been replaced with a footpath and landscaping to green up the street scene and reduce the level of hard standing. But overall, the pre-application discussions, I feel, have been able to produce a scheme that responds positively to the character and appearance of the conservation area. The wider benefits of the scheme still remain: the reuse of the brownfield site and the creation of specialist retirement accommodation that will help make up the shortfall in the council's housing land supply. And just one brief point on the parking. The parking provision that we've provided is in line with what we provided last time round as part of the appeal scheme, and the parking was considered to be appropriate and adequate for the site and for the development proposed. We're not differing from that as part of this proposal. So I think, you know, from that point of view, we feel there's adequate parking provided on site for the accommodation and for visitors coming to the site as well. But I think that's everything that I wanted to say at this stage. But as I say, you know, we've worked very hard now to try and address the previous concerns that have been raised by appeal inspectors. I've worked tirelessly with St Albans to get a scheme that I think will provide an enhancement to the site now. So thank you for your time and consideration of the revised application, and hope that members, despite what's been said this evening, can find time to support this application. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brockbank. I'll now ask Mr. Talbot to speak again, up to 3 minutes if you can. You're on mute, sir. You're still on mute, Mr. Talbot.
All right. Thanks for inviting me this evening. I'm speaking on behalf of the Redcliffe Action Group, which is comprised of neighbours who oppose the overdevelopment of the former Redcliffe Care Home site. Now, I've sent you some pictures. I don't know whether you have them in paper form or in electronic form, but if you could share number one.
I'm sharing them on the screen now.
Yeah. That's the view as it exists from the bedroom window of my property. If you can see, just above the hedges, there's a low roof, which is the existing building. And in the far background, behind the tree, is the number 21 Salisbury, the original house. Then if you turn to number 2 slide, this is the proposed Mews development by Beechcroft at the rear of the property. As you can see, it has 16 windows and 4 doors facing Rosebery Avenue. And if you turn to number 3, this I think is something that many people will be familiar with, a 50s style office block, which is actually Chelford Fabrics in Batford. And the proposal seems to have drawn inspiration from it, if that's the correct word. Then going on to number 4, when you superimpose the latest design on the property, that's what you get. You get all those windows overlooking the gardens of Rosebery Avenue, and the full horror is revealed in that view. This is the 4th submission. The residents have rejected all 3. The Harpenden Town Council rejected 3. St Albans District rejected all 3. And the planning inspector rejected all 3. And yet still Beechcroft insists and persists on trying to shoehorn properties into a small space. So the rear block is totally inappropriate. It fails to preserve the character of the avenues as pioneered by Henry Steers. It is a conservation area when all said and done, and that there is a listed building somewhere hidden behind that massive block. In Beechcroft have come up with a design which would intrude on 7 households in Rosebery Avenue and Townsend Lane. We believe it's an overdevelopment of the rear garden that's totally out of place in a conservation area. Upper floor windows will have uninterrupted views into the ground floor windows of number 16, 18 and 20 Rosebery. Looking at the inspector's comment, he says the character and appearance of the area with particular regard to the conservation area, the proposal would fail, this is their previous one, would fail to preserve or enhance the character and appearance of the conservation area. We believe that this 4th application follows the same pattern and doesn't enhance the conservation area. Any questions for me?
So I don't think committee members can and members of the public, unfortunately, Mr. Talbot. But
Okay, well, fair enough.
Thank you for your comments. Unless there's anything else, I'll turn to committee members. Were you finished, Mr. Talbot?
Yeah, all done. Thank you.
Perfect. I will now open the floor up to members of the committee. I can see Councillor Drake, you've got your hand up.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I tend to agree with Mr. Talbot's assessment. The new building at the back is completely out of character with the general area. I don't see how it can possibly be seen to be anything other than out of character. I think the officer's comments are absolutely right on that particular point, and that is the major concern that I have. Having said that, whilst Mr. Brotwank implied that the parking was in line with the previous requirements, I must admit I can't see what we previously considered, but would certainly be well under the normal amount of parking required that we would normally look for in a site like this. And finally, I am quite concerned that it's far from clear what happens to the trees in the plot as a whole. But my major concern is undoubtedly the fact that the proposed Mews building is wholly out of character with the site of the conservation area, and would certainly set not only an unwelcome view but also an unwelcome precedent.
Thank you, Councillor Drake. Any other committee members like to come in with comments? Councillor Turnbull.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I'd just like to reiterate fully all the comments already passed by Mr. Talbot and also by my fellow councillor. I would merely add, besides parking, the conservation area, I mean, put it bluntly, whoever designed that building, he might as well have designed a barrack block. Is what I would refer to it almost as a barrack block. It's got no architectural merit whatsoever and should be binned. That's all I will say. Sorry for my language. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Turnbull. Any further comments from committee members? I can't see any hands, in which case I'm inclined to agree with the comments that have been made by my fellow councillors in terms of I think this is broadly speaking still not quite an appropriate development for this particular site, and therefore I'll ask committee if they're minded to accept the recommendation as is. So all in favour of adopting the recommendation as set out?
Okay, that's unanimous.
Thank you.
And thank you, members of the public, for coming along. You're welcome to stay and watch the other applications this evening, but you probably have other things to be doing, so you're also more than welcome to head off. Right, so I will go back to page 23, assuming that the members of the public, the other members of the public who were coming have still not arrived.
No one's materialised, so
that's fine. We've got plenty of agenda to get through, so I will start from the start. Right, so 5/2021, 1234 and 1269 do not meet the criteria for consideration. So on to 5/2021, 1029 49 West Common Way. Mim, your officer comments.
Okay, right, so we have no pictures for this one. Basically, this application is for minor amendments which have been proposed to the original planning permission, which includes just changes to the colour of the roof tiles and further rendering to the building on the first floor elevation. No letters of objection received, therefore consider no objection.
Thank you, Mim. Do any councillors have any comments they'd like to raise on this application? Can't see any hands, in which case I'm minded to go with the recommendation. Are we all in favour?
Yes, unanimous.
Thank you.
Perfect. Then on to 5/2021-1249, 3 Pendennis Court. Does not meet the criteria for consideration. So on to 5/2021-1260 at 21 East Common. Mim, your officer observations.
Thank you. We have pictures for this one. So this property is a locally listed building sited in the Harpenden Conservation Area, which faces onto Harpenden Common, with parking at the rear facing onto Cravels Road. The existing parking provision consists of a double garage with space in front of it to park 2 vehicles. The property itself is a 2-storey, 3-bedroom terrace dwelling, and the proposed changes to the property show an increase on the ground floor, this being a small wraparound type extension which measures 1.9 metres in depth in order to increase family space in living areas. The ground floor extension will host a monopitch roof with roof lights and will not impact on neighbouring properties. The proposed first floor extension is shown as the original rear gable being extended further backwards and another second gable being formed and set back from the larger gable in order for reconfiguration of the bathrooms and enlargement of the 3rd bedroom. This does not appear to cause any detrimental impact on neighbouring properties, as the rear of the proposed gables do not exceed the building line of these adjacent properties. No letters of objection have been received. Consider no objection subject to appropriate design and use of materials on this locally listed building in the Harpenden Conservation Area.
Thank you, Mim. Do any committee members have any comments on this one? I can't see any hands, so again, I will ask for a vote on the recommendation as set out. All in favour?
Yes, agreed.
Thank you.
Then I'll go on to 5/2021-1066. Does not meet the criteria required for consideration. So the next one is 5/2021-1155, 1 Greyfriars Lane. Officer observations.
All right, okay, and we have pictures for this one, please, Hev. Now, this application is for amendments to the original planning permission for a 2-storey dwelling, which was permitted on application reference 5/2019-0045. The proposal intends to lower the height of the proposed property, along with lessening the bulk and reducing the eaves, which are nearer to the neighbouring property, Redcoat Manor. The proposed plans also show intentions to move the proposed new dwelling slightly nearer to number 2 Greyfriars Lane, with a 1 metre reduction between the 2 properties. There doesn't appear to be any loss of amenity to the neighbouring properties. A letter of objection has been received from 43 West Access over Redcoat Lane, and no damage to the common land, and they want significant tree works carried out. I have said consider no objection due to the fact that it was being reduced in size.
Thank you, Mim. Do any councillors have any comments on this one? I can't see any hands again. My chair. Do any councillors have any comments? Sorry, I've been distracted there. Did anyone want to say anything on this application? No, I can't see anyone. In that case, I'll ask for a vote on the recommendation as set out. All in favour? Perfect.
Yeah.
In that case, I shall move on to 5/2021-1169. Does not meet the criteria, neither does 1256 or 1257. So on to 5/2021-1286 at 40 Meadow Walk. Your observations.
Okay, so we've got some pictures for this one as well, please. This property is part of a pair of semi-detached dwellings, which are sited in a section of Meadow Walk consisting of similar type properties. These particular properties have limited parking available to them. The application property has a footpath which runs alongside it and separates it from its neighbour. The majority of the proposed works outlined in the application are positioned away from the adjoining neighbouring property and are built over the existing single-storey side extension. The proposal shows an extension to the ground floor rear elevation along the neighbouring boundary, and which incorporates 2 roof windows and another element which extends the kitchen area along the rear of the property. First floor extension is shown to extend on the opposite side of the property and incorporates bedroom 4 along with additional bathroom, ensuites and dressing room. Bedroom 1 is sited at the rear of the property and is to be extended rearwards. There does not appear to be any detrimental impact on neighbouring properties, 5-degree rule being met. Although no trees have been mentioned within the application, there do not appear to be any trees on site that may be affected by the application. No letters of objection have been received by St Albans District Council. Consider no objection.
Thank you, Mim. Does anyone have any comments on this one? I can't see any, in which case I shall ask for a vote. Are we all minded to go with the recommendation as set out? Perfect. In that case, I shall move on. 5/2021, 1332 and 1365 don't meet the criteria required for consideration, nor does 1414. So the next one we'll consider is 5/2021, 1336 at 41 Tufnell Way. Lynn, your observations.
Thank you. Right, so some more pictures. This property is set in a row of 3 single-storey properties in a road of variously designed dwelling houses. Neighbouring property number 39 Tufnells Way has recently been granted permission for a replacement 2-storey dwelling to replace the existing bungalow. The proposal for this property is to raise and alter the existing roof in order to allow first floor roof stroke loft area. This will provide additional bedrooms and will alter this property from a 2-bedroom to a 5-bedroom property. The existing roof height of the property will change from approximately 5.5 metres to a proposed 8.5 metres, with the main bulk of the enlargement to the property appearing to be on the existing footprint. The proposed single-storey rear extension enlarges ground floor living accommodation and does not appear to extend further than the building line of neighbouring property number 43 Tufnells Way, therefore having no detrimental impact. Proposed changes to the garage at the front of the property are shown to remove the garage and then to replace it back on the front of the property, but realigned with the side elevation building line. A continuous flat roof line will replace the pitched roofs at the front of the property and run from the study area to the garage in order to house a porch. With regards to parking provision, although there's an increase in bedroom accommodation from 2 to 5, there appears to be sufficient space on the front of the property, along with the garage, for vehicle parking. The loss of the pitch roof and the incorporation of flat roofs on the front of the property could possibly be out of keeping with the original design of the building and the street scene. No trees appear to be affected by the proposal, and no letters of objection have been received by St Albans District Council. Consider no objection, subject to no loss of amenity neighbouring property number 43 Tufnells Way, and no detrimental impact on the street scene.
Thank you, Mim. Does anyone, Councillor Drake?
Thank you, Chair. I mean, I agree with the officer's comments, but I think, as I did with number 39, I just want to note my regret that again, the town is losing its bungalow stock to the developments. I don't think we can do anything here because obviously number 39 has been approved, but I do think it's a shame that we are continuing to erode this alternative housing stock.
Thank you, Councillor Turnbull.
Thanks, Chair. My only observation is, if you look at that, I wonder if what's it going to do to the street scene? I'm not against the development per se, but if you look at the side elevation of the property, you've got a very long flat roof out to the rear and also to the front of the building. It's an odd looking shape. Are you with me?
Yeah, no, so I am inclined to agree. I think the reason why I wouldn't do any more than at most express concern on that basis is I think the street scene will look a little bit weird, whatever they do, because of the fact you've got two bungalows in amongst two-story houses. If committee were minded to express concern, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to that. But frankly, I think the wording as it's set out probably covers us off reasonably well, unless committee have significant objections to the street scene. Councillor Hill.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I agree with Councillor Turnbull. It does look a little bit strange how the plan, the side elevation, and with the fact that there's a front and rear extension on just one level does make it look strange. Yeah, I agree. Whether it be enough to express concern, again, I'd probably see what other committee members say. I'm not really inclined either way necessarily. But I guess it's quite a long site, so there's still plenty of room either side. But yeah, it does look a little bit strange, but yeah.
I think if we go initially with a vote on the recommendation as set out, and then if councillors are minded towards express concern, I'll take that as a second vote. But for now, if we go with the recommendation as written now, would everyone be in favour? Do I have a majority there, Heather?
I can't see actually. So it's in, some people have
doing
got blurred.
voting. Okay. Well, if we have a majority, then we'll go.
Yeah, if you've got the majority, I'm sorry. Some people I can't actually see because they're not actually visible on the screen. They've disappeared.
That's fine. I'll go with that. In that case, I think the next application, unless I've missed one, is 5/2021-1392, which doesn't meet the criteria. And then 5/2021-1276 at 3 The Uplands. Mim, your observations, please.
All right. Okay. Some pictures, please, have. Right. So the application site is a large property which is surrounded by smaller sized properties with a well-screened rear garden. The proposal shows a single-storey rear extension shown as a proposed garden room, which is to be sited leading on to the patio, a timber pergola which runs along the side boundary of neighbouring property 48 The Deerings, and joining up to a single-storey annex sited at the apex of the garden and is shown to become a gym/children's den. The first floor bay extension will incorporate a Juliet balcony. The proposals with regards to the single-storey rear extension and first floor bay extension, due to its position on the property, do not appear to have any detrimental impact on neighbouring properties. It is noted that there have been no details submitted to protect either the roots of the existing tree depicted on the plans or the hedges and screening plants that currently run along the edge of the property, which could be affected by installation of the proposed pergola. It is difficult to ascertain how much of an impact the proposed annex will have, as no measurements regarding height, width and depth appear to have been detailed on the plans. Express concern that no details have been included within the application which outline tree and hedge landscaping protection measures. No letters of objection have been received.
I think just off the bat, I'd be inclined to also add in some wording about that no details have been received on the height, width and depth of the the proposed annex. Any comments from councillors on this one? I can't see any. Oh, Councillor Liver.
I can just make the point, I think it's rather difficult to come to a judgment on something if they haven't included all the information on it. Really.
Yeah, I rather agree.
That's all, really.
Do you prefer to recommend refusal then?
Yeah, actually, yes, I think I probably would. If a majority of the committee are minded, if we recommend refusal on the basis that, you know, we've had insufficient detail provided to make a judgment, and then if we give the detail that we're missing, which is the pre-edge landscaping and the details of the annex, would committee, I'll go to a vote on that. Would committee be minded to recommend refusal on that basis?
Okay.
I think that was unanimous, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was unanimous.
Okay, moving on to number 5, 2021, 1370 does not meet criteria. So on to 5, 2021, 1388 at 3 Oakhurst Ave. Mim, your comments on this one?
Okay, and we have some pictures, please, Heb. The amendments to previous planning permission on this property are for an additional 2 windows to be included on the side elevation of the master bedroom, a roof balcony onto the flat roof, extending out by approximately 0.7 metres with a frameless glass balustrade to replace the Juliet balconies of the master bedroom, and an additional window and skylight to the utility room. The proposed roof balcony is restricted, extending too far by the roof lights from the ground floor rear elevation, and therefore, due to this restriction and also to the sightings of the neighbouring properties on their plots, does not appear to cause detrimental impact in terms of loss of privacy or amenity. No letters of objection have been received. Consider no objection.
Thank you, Mim. Do any committee members have any comments on this one? I can't see any, in which case I'll move to a vote on the recommendation of no objection. All in favour?
Okay, thank you.
Unanimous to me.
Yep.
In that case, moving on, 5, 2021, 1051 and 1166 don't meet the criteria required for consideration. So on to 5, 2021, 1222 at the White Horse, Hatching Green.
Right. We have another application on the agenda, which is listed building consent for this particular address, and I wondered if committee would consider viewing them both in conjunction with each other.
That sounds good to me, unless anyone objects.
Okay, so that's application 5, 2021, 1253 as well.
Perfect. Is it the same officer observation and
Yes. Yes, it will be. Okay, so this is my observation. This property is a Grade 2 listed building set in the Harpenden Conservation Area, and the application submitted is somewhat reduced following refusal of application 5, 2019-0113. The proposal is to demolish the most recent of extensions built in 2005 and attached to the rear of the public house, which will result in revealing the original facade of the building. Plans are also proposed to demolish the non-original detached shed stroke outbuilding, which is within the curtilage of this listed building. The proposal shows a glass link from the public house to a new single-storey extension, which is to be erected in 2 barn-type volumes and will house a new kitchen and prep area at the furthest point, with dining in both the first barn and also in the glass link conservatory. It is stated in the design and access statement that the glass link will be connected to the public house and the proposed single-storey extension by silicone jointed rectangular glass structures. Concerns are that this area of the proposal is out of keeping with the character and appearance of the Grade 2 listed building, and with the connection to the proposed single-storey extension may give a disjointed appearance to both the buildings and the character of the Harpenden Conservation Area. Parking proposals show parking layout to be unaltered from the previous application and remain sited along the rear boundaries of properties in West Common. Although the proposed site plan provided highlights various areas of existing trees and proposed planting, it appears to have failed to detail some of the trees that are seen to be on the existing site plan. No tree report has been included with this application. There have been no letters of objection. Consider recommend refusal. The proposed glass link between the Grade 2 public house and the proposed single-storey extension is unsympathetic with the character of the original Grade 2 listed building and fails to enhance the character or appearance of either this establishment or the Harpenden Conservation Area. There are concerns that additional lighting which will emit from this glass area will impact on local wildlife and the surrounding conservation area. The proposal has not addressed previous reasons for refusal with regards to parking layout, which appears to be unchanged from those which were previously presented, and the issue regarding existing trees which are depicted on the existing plans do not appear to be shown on the proposed plans.
Thank you, Mim. Does anyone have any comments on this one? Councillor Turnbull.
Thanks, Chair. I'm not suggesting I would approve it in its present form, but actually I'm more sympathetic than the officer is on the proposed redesign and extension of the listed building and the link to the rear new construction. Just because it's a listed building, I don't think we should necessarily rule out a modern addition in the way of that link. You know, I think if it's properly designed architecturally, it could look interesting. So that would be my observation there. I wouldn't rule it out necessarily for that. On the other hand, the parking, if the parking is identical to what was turned down before, then obviously that kills it off. On the other hand, if you look at where the parking is on the proposed plan compared with the existing parking, it is right along the boundary. So I don't see how it can necessarily be detrimental to any more detrimental than it is at the moment to the houses, the cottages in West Common. Is it West Common? What is it? West Common Way? The 57 through to 51 through to 57. That's just my observation, but I mean I'll go along with the majority.
Yes, no, I have some sympathy with your comments about the design. I must admit, particularly given as committee members who've served on this committee will know, I have a lot of sympathy with applications for businesses that are trying to improve their ability to do business. That said, I do think that the combination of everything rather sort of doesn't fall in favour of this application, as it were. Do any other committee members have any comments on Councillor Hill?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, like you, I have sympathy with the pub wanting to develop its size, particularly because it's on quite a good sized plot. But that said, I agree with the officers about the glass link itself. I think it is out of keeping with the Grade 2 listed building over 300 years old, and with the impact of the light emissions, as you said, the conservation area on the wildlife. Yeah, I don't necessarily have, so I don't have a problem with the size of the development itself. Particularly the building at the rear looks fine to me, but the glass link is a concern, and the lack of a tree report is also a concern, because this is quite a big site. There's lots of trees to the rear of the site, and without any clear indication of the impact on those, I would refuse.
Yeah, I think we're all sort of coming at it from the same perspective, which is we don't mind the principle necessarily of, well, they're certainly getting closer on the design at least, but it's still not quite there yet, I don't think. Do any other councillors, Councillor Paul?
The difficult one to bolt on a modern bit onto a Grade 2 listed building, which is in a conservation area. Somewhere we didn't get it right. I'm not so sure this is the one. So certainly at this stage, I think we need to keep up a fairly strong response and see what happens down the line.
Yeah.
There will be a solution. I don't think this is it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I'm inclined to agree. In that case, unless any other councillors would like to speak, I'm inclined to vote on the recommendation as is. Are we all in favour of that recommendation? I think I've got a majority there, so I will move on to 5:20. Oh, we've done that one. I think the next one is, unless I've missed one, the next one is the Redcliffe one we've done already.
Yeah.
In which case, oh, then the next one is the White Horse. Give me 1 second. Right, by my maths, the next one is Harpenden Hall. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Cool. So it's 5/2021. 1299. I believe that, like the previous one, there are 2 applications for Harpenden Hall. I believe
That's
I'm
correct.
one. So unless committee vehemently disagrees, I shall be taking those as one application. I can't see any disagreement, so I think we're inclined to proceed on that basis. Mim, your observations.
Okay, so again, we have pictures for this. So Harpenden Hall is a Grade 2 starred listed building set in the Harpenden Conservation Area, and this proposal is for works to decouple the annex area, which currently attaches Harpenden Hall to the Harpenden Public Halls building, and creating a gap between the 2 buildings. The Public Halls is not a listed building. There currently is no access through this link, which has been blocked up for a number of years. The proposal involves removing and making good a small portion of the annex and removing a short length of low-level brick wall that encloses an uncovered bin store at the rear of the annex to ensure a clear gap. All undertakings will enable works for the wider development of Harpenden Public Halls, which is currently under consideration. A new wall will be constructed to close off and make good the remaining linked structure. All materials that can be reused in accordance with the conservation area and listed building status will be. No letters of objection have been received. Consider no objection.
Yeah, I mean, I'm inclined to wave this one through. Does anyone have any comments, or are we happy to have a vote on the recommendation? I can't see any comments, in which case I will propose a vote. All in favour of the recommendation?
Okay.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Unanimous? Or at least unanimous of the councillors who can take part in that one. So next up, we're on 5/2021 1348. Doesn't meet the criteria. So 5/2021 1355 at St Dominic's Roman Catholic Primary School, South Down Road.
Okay, so we just have the one picture for this. So this application is purely for a renewal of a 10-year permission, which was given for the modular class space within the grounds of the school and which has now expired. The application states that the unit is used for ancillary teaching for existing pupils and specialist needs, and that there will be no increase to pupils attending the school, local traffic or travel. No letters of objection have been received. Consider no objection.
I mean, again, I personally am inclined to wave this one through as recommended, but do any councillors have any comments on this one? I can't see any hands, in which case I'll go to a vote on the recommendation of no objection.
Yes, unanimous.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Right, 5/2021, 1394 doesn't meet the criteria. So next one is 5/2021, 1410 at 20 Park Avenue South.
Okay, we have a couple of pictures for this one. I'll just find notes. Okay, so this application site is in the Harpenden Conservation Area, and the proposal shows plans for a carport to be erected on the right-hand side of the front of the property. The area is well screened and doesn't appear to create any detrimental impact on the street scene or neighbouring property. Proposals are also for the creation of a new access onto the property with remote controlled electric gates on the left-hand frontage. Planning permission was granted in the previous application, reference 5/2020-3069, for the position of the existing gate to be relocated at the front right-hand boundary of the property. With the installation of the proposed left-hand exit, this will create a carriage driveway for the dwelling house with sufficient space to support it. No letters of objection, therefore consider no objection.
Thank you, Mim. Does anyone have any comments on this one? I can't see any hands, in which case I'll move to a vote on the recommendation of no objection. All in favour?
Yes, unanimous.
Thank you.
Now, the next one is 5/2021-1432, which is the Hertfordshire Fire and Ambulance Brigade. I can't say that word. Brigade, on Leighton Road. Mim, your observations on this one, please.
Right, I've got quite a few observations on this one, so bear with me. Okay, so I've got a separate file of pictures for this one here.
Yeah, that's fine. I've got that. Going a second.
Have you got it?
Yeah, I have. Just going a second.
Okay.
I'll just open that up separately.
Right.
Okay, there we go.
Okay. So, right, okay. So, the proposed application shows two dwelling houses to be constructed on a triangular shaped piece of land to the rear of the existing fire station in Leighton Road, which is sited in the Harpenden Conservation Area. Entrance to the site will be via an existing access road between the fire station and Grade 2 listed building 27 Leighton Road. The properties are shown to be 4 bedrooms, measuring just over 8 metres in height, and each provided with 2 parking spaces in front of a double garage. Plot 2 is positioned facing towards Leighton Road, with its garage incorporated into the design, and has a distance of at least 30 metres from the rear of 27 Leighton Road. Plot 1 is positioned to the side of plot 2 at a slight angle, with its garage detached. The proposed dwellings appear to be basic in design and do not seem to favour any of the characteristics of the street scene or local buildings in this part of the conservation area. With regards to trees and hedging, an arboricultural report has been carried out and highlighted several sycamore trees along the northwest corner of the site, which have self-seeded. These are to be, these are to be removed, and replacement planting of various species, including birch and hornbeam, will be undertaken, which will maintain the screening of Rotham's Park. The proposal appears to address further screening issues with installation of more trees and mixed hedging along all relevant boundaries, although it is noted that some of the trees along the boundary with 27 Leighton Road are deciduous and therefore will not create continual screening. Concerns are raised regarding the positioning of the property on plot 1 and the close proximity to existing lime trees, which, although these are to be reduced in height, could result in excessive shading and therefore lead to subsequent requests to cut back or remove. An ecological report has been included explaining procedures for protection measures relating to nesting birds, bat habitats, and any other wildlife on site at the time of the proposed build. And these measures appear to have also been incorporated into the proposed dwelling house designs. Although this site lies within flood zone 1, surface water flooding is an issue within this area. A balancing pond for storage of surface water is shown to be installed along the northern edge of the site, near to the boundary of 27 Leighton Road, and will be screened by hedging and trees. A swale will lead into it, which will run along the length of the northern boundary and collect the runoff of surface water from the site. However, maintenance of the swale and balancing pond will be necessary on an annual basis to ensure that it doesn't get blocked. Following a flood risk assessment being carried out and included within this applications, its findings show that the LLFA identified an upstream catchment of 60,000 square metres, which contributes to the overland runoff which flows east across Rothamsted Park and properties to the north. A number of measures were identified in this assessment to minimise the surface water flood risk. However, the application does not include an adequate number of these measures. The application should include upstream management measures on neighbouring land to minimise surface water flood risk. Policy ESD 18 of the Harpenden Neighbourhood Plan sets out that proposals must incorporate a sustainable and integrated approach to the management of flood risk, surface water, including runoff, and foul drainage. I have therefore suggested that the committee considered recommending refusal. The proposed development fails to meet the objectives of the Harpenden Neighbourhood Plan in that it is not included upstream management measures on neighbouring land and proposals which address the management of flood risk surface water, including runoff and foul drainage. In addition, the proposed design of the 2 dwelling houses does not complement or enhance the existing Grade 2 listed building, 27 Leighton Road, Rothamsted Park, the street scene, or the Harpenden Conservation Area. The proposed positioning of the properties would result in a loss of views from the front of the site through to Rothamsted Park, which I believe you could see from that first picture. That's the one, yeah. You can see there you've got a very clear view through, and would have a detrimental visual impact on the street scene. Although replacement planting has been included within the proposal, concerns are expressed that some of the existing trees which are shown as screening between plot 2 and neighbouring properties 27 Leighton Road are in fact deciduous trees, and therefore privacy and amenity protection would be somewhat limited. Concerns are also expressed with regards to the siting of plot 1 due to possible shading problems which would result in requests for cutting back or removal of trees within the vicinity of this property. And then I've quoted all the relevant policies that go with those recommendations.
Thank you. I didn't catch it on your recommendation. Was there anything on the access? Because it strikes me that adding cars to that junction might not necessarily be fantastic as an idea, given that it's already quite a difficult one with lines of sight.
No, I didn't put anything from highways regarding anything. Whether there's anything on the website from highways, I didn't see it, but it's something that I could check up on. But obviously, I can't add to any recommendations the committee makes. I can't add to it. So.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just thought I'd ask the question because I don't think it's worth us mentioning, but I would be slightly concerned about that if highways haven't had taken a look at it. Do any committee members want to make any comments on this one? Councillor Turnbull, I saw first.
Ignoring any of the individual points that were raised, I think as a general issue, this whole area, the flooding has to be sorted out. There has to be a long-term plan for flooding control before we approve any development whatsoever along that stretch of Leighton Road. That would be my general observation and recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Paul, you had your hand up as well.
Can you put the picture up where that swale is and the balancing pond?
Sorry,
I missed that, Councillor Paul.
That balancing pond behind number 27. Water.
Sorry, is it just me that can't hear Councillor
Yeah,
Paul?
no,
no.
I'm sorry, Councillor Paul, we're really struggling to hear you, I'm afraid.
Can you show that picture with a balancing pond and a swale?
Yes, of course. Yes, absolutely. So I think this is the one here where it shows the balancing pond is just here and the swale is this area that stretches along the back here, I believe.
That's right.
Obviously not read the application in detail. I mean, is it sufficient to retain all the water will come down, you know, from the site? That's the only thing. There's a lot, as you know, water comes straight across there, and it's very near 27, which is that grade 2 listed building there. I haven't read the report, but I don't remember any indication whether or not that swale and that balancing pond is sufficient to. It's only meant to control that area of housing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how sufficient, because a lot of it is technical details, which obviously I'm not trained in. I know that obviously when it comes to building houses, they have to put soakaways in. So they've obviously got soakaways in for the houses, which will take some of it. But also regarding these, the swale and the balancing pond, I don't know how much water they will take. And obviously they have to be, I know they're going to have maintenance people for the site if it goes through, and those maintenance people will be responsible for cleaning out the pond and so on. But obviously if there's going to be trees and so on there, they're going to get clogged up quite a lot, and they will have to be cleaned out on a regular basis. And if that fails, then you're going to have flooding again.
We've got something adequate in our response, which we have, haven't we?
Yeah, exactly. And I know in the report, although, as I say, I'm not a technical person, a lot of the report stated that they needed to take measures further up, from the site, because obviously there was a lot of it was coming down and being sidetracked by other buildings, from what I could understand from the report.
Yeah, they probably say we can only look at the application as it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We know there's a runoff from Rothamsted all the way down, don't we?
Yeah.
Any other councillors want to raise? Councillor Turnbull again.
My other observation, knowing what the flooding has been like there, I accepted it may have been exceptional circumstances, but in that this whole area is prone to flooding, until there is a long-term solution for the whole area, then my view is these units would be unsellable. I wouldn't recommend buying one if I were a lawyer. They're going to get flooded.
I'm not sure it's a planning concern whether or not they.
I'm passing an observation to strengthen my view, as we should be looking carefully at an overall planning solution to flood plan solution to that area.
Any other councillors like to raise? Councillor Liver.
Can I just check who is responsible with the balance pond for the maintenance of it?
Who's responsible for the pond regarding?
The balance pond,
yeah,
on the side of the house. Who's responsible for the maintenance? Who pays for the maintenance of that?
That will be down to the maintenance contractors who will be maintaining the grounds. As far as I am aware, will be maintaining it. And I presume, and I don't know, I am presuming that whether the people who own the houses will be paying for the maintenance of the grounds. But from what I could understand from the reports, that whoever maintains the ground will be maintaining that balancing pond.
Okay. But I assume that land is on the property or the ownership of the house that is next to it.
Yes, it is.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. That I can't answer. Whether it will be for the two houses,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, obviously the houses have an interest in maintaining the pond because they don't want to be flooded. But as flooding is an issue there, I think we need to know that those issues are sorted, really.
The report that I read led me to believe that it won't be the houses, that it was okay to build houses there because they won't be the flood issue.
It will be 27 and further along then.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other councillors like to come in? Councillor Paul.
Does want to do it? Yes, it does. Yeah, I know Vaca 27 has got a sort of Hadrian's Wall right around the back of his property. Now these have only got trees and shrubs and stuff, so I suspect water, if it comes down at any great width, those houses will be flooded from the rear before you know it.
That's why in the wording that I've put in here, that the application is saying that when the LLFA did their report, they said that a number of measures were identified and that it needs to, where have I put it? A number of measures that were identified in the assessment, and the application doesn't include the information that they need to, where have I put it? It needs to incorporate a sustainable and integrated approach to the management of flood risk, and they haven't done that, and that's what they need to be doing. So it's the management overall and further up where they've highlighted the fact that there's an upstream catchment of 60,000 square metres, which contributes to the overland runoff. So you're right in what Councillor Turnbull was right in what he was saying, that it needs to be dealt with further up and overall, and not just in this small, just with a balancing pond. It's further up and overall, and that's what this report highlighted, but they're just dealing with it with this pond, and it needs to be a long-term planning for flooding, as Councillor Turnbull suggested maybe, and that's what the recommendation or my consideration that I've said to the councillors is recommend refusal until that's put in place maybe.
Do any other councillors want to say anything on this one, or can we move to a vote on the recommendation? I'm not seeing any hands, in which case I'm going to move to a vote on the recommendation, which is recommend refusal for the reasons set out by Mims. I won't repeat because I'd be here for most of the evening. All in favour?
Is that unanimous?
Perfect, thank you. In that case, moving on to 5/2021, 1375, 27 Park Rise. Officer observations.
Okay, let me just. Right, okay, I've got some pictures here.
Yeah, they're on the screen.
Right, okay, so this property is set in a road of mixed properties with this particular semi-detached dwelling part of a small cluster of single-storey houses which are set lower as the terrain on this side of the road slopes towards the rear gardens. Larger detached properties are sited opposite. The proposed single-storey side and rear extension are to be sited near to neighbouring property number 29 Park Rise, but are positioned with sufficient space between both properties in order to offer no loss of amenity or privacy, and will incorporate an ensuite to the existing bedroom and extended kitchen dining space. The proposal for alterations to the roof are to enable 2 of the existing bedrooms to be moved from the ground floor to the new first floor elevation. There are no additional bedrooms proposed in the application. The front facade of the property will remain unchanged and only the rear of the property will alter, with a new proposed rear loft dormer being incorporated along with the rear extension. The new raised patio area is also shown in the application, which appears to copy that of number 29 Park Rise. Concerns are raised that there is insufficient screening to combat loss of privacy and amenity to neighbouring properties with regards to the proposed raised patio. Parking remains unchanged, no loss of trees within the proposal, and no letters of objection have been received. Consider express concern with regards to loss of amenity and privacy to neighbouring property in relation to the proposed raised patio and insufficient screening provision.
Thank you, Mim. Does anyone have any comments on this one? Councillor Turnbull.
Thank you once again. Sorry to keep raising a number of issues. I looked at another plan, which Mim hasn't shown here, which included, I think, the 45-degree angles from the houses on either side. And if you look, obviously this plan was proportioned to show that it met all the 45-degree tests. But if you look at the side elevation of the house, the existing house, and then the new house, while the extension ends up as only being single story, if you sort of try and look at the same position on the two different plans, my reaction is the 45-degree test is going to be hitting a wall that's 1.5 stories high, not 1 story high. And I can't help but feel that that's pushing that test a bit too far. And I would put some words into the effect that, you know, express concern that the 45-degree rule has not been broken. It's not apparent it has or it hasn't.
I think adding some wording in about that seems sensible.
Thank you.
Councillor Paul, I think you had your hand up as well.
Very minor point. In your reason for express concern, you say in the main, should we consider it? Should it be neighbouring properties? Are we discounting number 25?
Again, I think that's a reasonable addition, neighbouring properties.
Yep, okay.
Is plural.
Any further comments on this one? Can't see any hands, in which case I'll move to a vote on that amended version of the recommendation. All in favour? Perfect.
Can I just clarify what Councillor Turnbull just said regarding the 45-degree?
So it was, as I understand it, Councillor Turnbull, it was with regards to potential infringement on the 45-degree angle, as well as the points on loss of amenity.
That's the point, exactly.
Infringement of 45-degree. Okay, thank you.
Right.
Lovely, thank you.
In that case, I shall move on to 5/2021 1452 at 18 to 20 Wood End Road. Observations on this one.
Okay, second. Right, okay. So we have some pictures for this one. Thank you, Heather. This proposal for 3 detached dwellings with associated parking and landscaping appears to address the previous reasons for refusal. The application shows a reduced development with spaced out dwellings of 2.5 metre distances between them. Rearward separation distances from properties are shown as 44 metres with tree screening. The proposed positioning and layout of the properties show that there could be no detrimental impact with regard to the 45-degree rule on neighbouring properties. Roof design and materials appear to be in line with the surrounding properties in the street scene, with the roof lines themselves showing the gradient of the existing terrain. The existing access point appears to be utilised, with an additional one being shown for plot 1. Parking provision shows sufficient parking with garages doubled in size where provided, but also enough parking space on driveways. With regards to tree removal, the application shows that 10 trees are to be removed and 18 trees are to be replanted, with new hedging of mixed native species to also be installed. A bat survey has been included within the application paperwork, and the report concludes that there is no evidence of bats. No letters of objection have been received. A letter of support from a local resident has been received on the St Albans District Council website. Consider no objection. The proposal appears to meet the previous reasons for refusal.
Thank you, Mim. I mean, the first thing I would say is I would like some wording along the lines of, whilst the committee note that tree replacement hasn't entirely been fulfilled, we have no objection given that, given that clearly a significant attempt has been made within the parameters of the site. Because I think it is important to note that they haven't quite met that, but 18 versus 20 is not something I'm going to turn down an application of this size on the basis of. Any councillors want to make any comments on this one? Councillor Paul. You're still on mute, Councillor Paul. You've unmuted now.
It's the second application of this site. I'm sure Heaven will remember. It came in as 1, 2, 2 houses out, 3 houses out, 4 houses in.
Yep.
Yep.
That's right, isn't it?
Yep.
And the inspector threw it out, even though the officers wanted to grant it, on the basis it was regimented. The houses were all the same. This time they come back 1 house less. And I think the design are all different, more or less, aren't they? They're still a little bit close together, but I'm not nitpicking on that aspect. If you had no complaints from residents as yet, which I was expecting, can you put it up again, just a front elevation?
Yep.
Sorry about this.
No, it's fine. That one there. Is that the one, Beth, that you wanted? Yeah.
That's right. So how many? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 2 houses came out, didn't they? In the middle, the 2 houses in the middle, up top.
Yeah.
Yes.
And 4,
yes.
and 4 were put in, and they look like all little same monopoly houses. But this time we've gone 4. I mean, admittedly, houses 3 and 4 are more or less reverse ones, aren't they? But yeah, I'm not having much of a problem with this one at the moment. But I reserve my right if it comes to planning at council to change my mind. But I'll cover that at the time. But I think there's an improvement. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Councillor Paul. Does anyone else want to make any comments on this one? I can't see any. In that case, given the amended wording I've put in about trees, are we minded to go with the recommendation as amended?
Okay.
Perfect.
Yes, agreed,
in that case, I'll move on to 5/2021-1477, doesn't meet the criteria. So on to 5/2021-1490 at 23 Cold Harbour.
Okay. Some pictures for this one.
Yeah, coming right up.
Right. Thank you. Right, so this property is a small property which is part of a semi-detached pair. The proposal is to remove the white plastic cladding and porch which are on the front of the property and restore the front of the building to its original form in order to match surrounding properties. The proposal also shows the replacement of roof tiles to slate tiles which will match the existing roof of the adjoining semi-detached property and therefore complement both properties. The proposed single-storey part of the proposal is shown to run along the shared boundary of adjoining property number 21 Cold Harbour Lane and extend further by 1.1 metre and will allow for an open plan living area. The proposed 2-storey part of the rear extension is shown to be sited away from 21 Cold Harbour Lane, and although it is nearer to neighbouring property number 25, there is sufficient space. It is set back from the rear building line and therefore will create no detrimental impact. It will allow for the existing downstairs bathroom to be relocated upstairs and for the second bedroom to be reduced in order to create a landing area and subsequent access to the new bathroom. This application appears to be an improvement to the property. No trees will be affected, no additional bedrooms, therefore no parking affected. Although by the removal of the porch, space is made available for parking of one vehicle which wasn't accessible before, no letters of objection, consider no objection.
I mean, it all seems reasonably good to me. Does anyone have any comments on this one? No, in that case, I shall move to a vote on the recommendation as set out. All in favour? Perfect. So on to 5/2021/1491 Hillside Road, 47 Hillside Road.
Okay, and some pictures on this one.
Yep.
This semi-detached property is in a road consisting of variously styled properties, and along its right-hand boundary runs the border of the Harpenden Conservation Area. The proposal for a single-storey front extension and garage conversion shows the garage to be extended to the front in line with the existing porch, and for it to be converted into a storeroom. Front right-hand sleeper flower bed is to be removed in order to allow for a third parking space. At the rear of the property, the alterations are to incorporate bifold doors on the ground floor elevation. A letter of support came in from number 45 Hillside Road on St Albans District Council website. Consider no objection.
Thank you, thank you, Mim. Any councillors want to comment on this one? I can't see any, in which case I'll proceed to a vote on the recommendation as set out. All in favour?
Yes, agreed. Yeah.
Perfect. In that case, on to 5/2021/1438 at Beeson End Orchard, Beeson End Lane, Harpenden. It's the most I've ever said the word Beeson End in one go.
All right. Okay. The application site is set on a large plot within the Metropolitan Greenbelt, and the proposal submitted appears to be showing the same proposals as the previously refused application, reference 5/20/23/29, but with reduction in depth from 5750 millimeters to 4900 millimeters, so not a lot. The proposal incorporates extensions to the snug and utility area at ground floor level and at first floor level. The proposal shows an extension to bedroom 4 and an additional bedroom alongside the extended bedroom. There do not appear to be any other alterations or additions. It should be noted that an application for permitted development is currently under consideration for ground floor extensions to the rear of the property. No letters of objection have been received. I suggest recommend refusal. This application does not appear to have made sufficient or significant changes or reductions to meet the requirements of Policy 1 Metropolitan Greenbelt, the St Albans District Plan.
Thank you, Mim. Any comments on this one? Can't see any hands. In which case I'm minded to proceed with the vote on the recommendation as set out. All in favour?
Yes, agreed.
Perfect. Now the next one we've taken earlier as part of the Harpenden Hall one. So final one of this agenda item is 5/2021/1442 at 21 Churchfield.
Okay, and the last of the pictures. Right, this area of Churchfield has a cluster of single-storey properties, some of which have been developed to incorporate loft accommodation. The application property is semi-detached and sited at the bottom of the cul-de-sac with a garage and one parking space to the side of the house. However, there would be sufficient space to park further vehicles on the area in front of the property, subject to alterations. The property currently has a roof dormer at the rear, which houses one bedroom with a further 2 on the ground floor level. and the proposal is to carry out hip to gable roof alterations in order to accommodate an additional bedroom and office in the roof space. The alterations to this area of the roof would not impact on the adjoining neighbour and do not appear to impact on the street scene in general, as the existing roof line drops away at the rear of the property. The proposal is to lift this up and balance it up with the remaining roof, incorporating a small window on the front loft elevation. Parking for 3 vehicles is shown on the application. No trees will be affected by this proposal. No letters of objection have been received. Consider no objection.
Thank you, Mim. Any comments from anyone on this one? I can't see any, in which case I'll move to.
Oh, Harry,
Sorry.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Just so we can go back to the plans. There was just
Please, I pressed the wrong button next door to it. Apologies. If they sit so close next to each other. Right, here we go.
Yeah, it's just from the street view, it looks like the front is sort of straight across, whereas here, if you look at the, and then, yeah, so then if you look at the plans, it looks like the living room sort of comes out the front. So I just wondered whether the street view is out of date or whether I'm missing something. Does that make sense?
Don't know.
Yeah, I can see what you mean.
It might be the street views out of date.
Go back to the previous
could
slide.
be.
Yeah, that what you're talking about, Harry, is where those 3 cars are, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like the sort of the front of the building at the end there sort of comes out into the driveway, whereas on the street view it doesn't look like that. I mean, it's probably just that the street view's out of date, which is fine. But
It might be because there was history, but it's older than what we put on our plans, on our information.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
it doesn't affect how I still don't have an objection to the application itself, but that's just something that I noticed.
It's possible it's just very well camouflaged.
I think
Well, yeah, possibly from there actually. It does look like.
if you
maybe.
look here, you can see that there is definitely an element where it does just.
Yeah.
So I think
Maybe
that
it's just a street view.
yeah,
Maybe
I
it's
think
can't see it on it, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very well camouflaged. I think
Yeah.
there is a slight line that I assumed was a light of some.
Yeah, because I couldn't get any further than that position on the road. It wouldn't go around the corner. Mr. Google would not drive down that bit.
That's fine. It doesn't affect my. It's just something I noticed, but I'm still fine.
The mystery of the vanishing living room will be one for another
it's
day.
actually this is. I mean, the drawings actually I think are slightly back to front. This is the front here, and this is the back.
Yeah.
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 That,
So
you'd
that
imagine the
tiny
living room
bit-
would be at the front, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, that little tiny
Yeah.
bit there, I think has been depicted on here. You can see it juts out just
A
here.
little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes,
Anyway.
it's larger element
Yeah.
at the back.
Does anyone have any comments unrelated to the vanishing living room? I can't see any, in which case I shall proceed to a vote on the recommendation. All in favour?
Okay.
Looks unanimous to me. Right, so item 7, we haven't got any appeals unless one's crept in that I can't see on my.
Nope.
We don't have, according to this, we don't have any preservation order tree works either.
None are on the list.
Fair enough. So conservation area, tree works and technical applications, those are just for noting unless anyone wants to raise anything. Can't see anyone wanting to raise anything on that one. List of weekly decisions, again, just for noting. The date of the next meeting is the 29th at the same time. District Council Plans North meets on the 14th at 7 p.m. And with that, I will close what has been a very long meeting by our normal standards. Thank you everyone for coming along, and I will see you next time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye.